Here's my 5 audience members. Imagine being a woman in a society where you had no say in anything, you didn't have the right to vote, and you were viewed by men as property. Imagine being a black man in a society where you had no rights due to something that you had no control over, that being the color of your skin. Fortunately, society has changed. Women now have the right to vote, have a say in society, and are no longer viewed by men as property. Black men now have the same equal rights as a white man does. Now, why did this change occur? It goes down to the mere fact that we are all equal because we are all human beings. So if we are all human beings, then why are we still discriminating against a certain group in our society? Those people that have to live every day being denied the same rights that you and I get are gay, lesbian, bi, and transgender people. Why is that? Aren't they human beings too? Supporting equal rights for gays allows them to be granted the same rights that any heterosexual person or couple gets. I have a vast amount of friends and family that have to go through this discrimination on a daily basis, which has further made me educate myself so that I can educate others. Being lesbian, gay, bi, transgender is not a choice. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, sexual orientation probably is usually established during early childhood, but not to include many of the factors such as genetic, hormonal, and environmental. Today we're going to be talking about what rights are being denied to gays and why you should support them, same-sex marriages, and how you can get involved and help. The gay people of this country are having their civil rights violated. Now, many of you may say gay rights are not civil rights. That is not the case. According to Julian Bond, who is the civil rights leader and the board chairman of the NAACP, says that gay rights are civil rights due to the civil rights being the prerogatives for the rights to equal treatment before the law. He also states that these are rights shared by all, and there is no one in the U.S. who does not or should not share in these rights. Now, what exactly is being denied to gay people? Well, as of 2004, there are 1,138 rights that are currently being denied to gay people. Some of those rights are the right to marry, the right to openly serve in the U.S. military, the right to file a joint tax return as a gay couple, or if a gay couple decides to marry and their partner is from a foreign country, the right to having that partner naturalized as a U.S. citizen. September 9th, 2010, a federal judge in California overturned the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy that the military currently has in place. An appeal was made, though, overturning that, and the discriminatory policy still remains in effect. So, when it comes to supporting equal rights for gays, what do you have to lose? Nothing. Now that we've talked about why you should support gay rights, let's go into why you should support same-sex marriage. The Defense of Marriage Act gives states the right to refuse to recognize same-sex marriages from other states. So if California allows same-sex marriages, Texas has the right to refuse to recognize that. It was passed by Congress and signed into law by Bill Clinton on September 21st, 1996. It's the first time in the country's history where there's been a federal definition as far as what marriage is and what a spouse is. So like I said earlier, if a state decides to allow same-sex marriage, it gives the federal government the right to say, no, we do not recognize it. So according to the Human Rights Campaign, Lawrence Tribe who's a Harvard law professor, along with many others, have challenged the constitutionality of this law, saying that the full faith and credit clause, which is in the U.S. Constitution, says that it requires states to recognize the acts, records, and proceedings of any other states. Now, why do civil unions and domestic partnerships not work? They're not recognized by the federal government. They do not have the same rights as a heterosexual marriage. And you run the risk of, again, it not being recognized by other states or even other countries. And last but most importantly, it's still a form of segregation. Now many may say, well, I don't support same-sex marriage because my religion tells me it's wrong. Well, people disagreeing with why they shouldn't support same-sex marriage because their religion tells them to is not a justifiable answer as to why they shouldn't support it. They have to remember that there's a fine line between church and state. So same-sex marriages is a federal issue which cannot have any influence by religion as to whether or not same-sex marriage should be legal or not. So now that we've talked about why you should support same-sex marriage, let's talk about what you can do to be active and help. And there are many organizations out there that fight for rights for not only gay but human beings. Some of those are the Human Rights Campaign, the No Hate Campaign, the American Civil Liberty Union Campaign, the NAACP, and EqualityMatters.org. Now, again, supporting equal rights for gays is very important because it's a violation of their civil liberties, and it's a form of discrimination. So we've talked about equal rights and why you should support equal rights for gays, same-sex marriage and why you should support same-sex marriage, and what you can do to get active and help. So even after me standing up here and telling you why you should support all the things I've said you should support, and you still disagree, let's leave you with this. Our founding fathers said that all men are created equal. So if what's being preached is not being followed, then why have that saying? We are denying another human being the same rights that you and me get. Is it because you think they choose to be different, or because you think it's wrong? Well, let's go to Matthew Shepard, who was killed October 12, 1998, when he was tied to a fence post by two men, severely beaten, and left in the cold to die. Or let's talk about Private First Class Barry Winchell, who was stationed here at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, was struck in the head by a bat by a fellow soldier and died July 6, 1999, after suffering massive head trauma. So if being gay is a choice, then why would anyone put themselves as a target of hate, ridicule, or even possibly being killed? I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
You go, Mark.